こんばんは、なおです。助けてください。誘拐されました。It's pretty obvious that the last few years movie attendance has gone down significantly, and I just wanted to figure out why that was. So I did the only thing that any sane man would ever do. Cue the music.
We're waiting every night to finally roam and invite new.
So I may or may not have absolutely destroyed the tripod that my phone was sitting on to help film this. So if you see me holding my camera every time it cuts back to me, that's why. But before I could even continue my strange quest, I had to grab something so vital, so important.
What? It's an important part of the plan, okay? I do not have an addiction. I can stop whenever I want to. I just choose not to today, okay? I am okay.
After that necessary pit stop, we finally make it to our first movie, Speak No Evil, when all of a sudden, tragedy strikes. No food and drink allowed into the theater, so, had to finish this bad boy real quick. Alright, movie 1, Speak No Evil. I don't want to get too far into spoilers, so I'm just going to give a quick synopsis and then a little bit of a review of how I felt about the movie. So the movie is about this family that goes on vacation in Italy and meets this other family, James McAvoy's family. And everything seems really cool. James McAvoy's super charming, super cool, and everyone's just having a fun time, and this guy kind of is looking up to James McAvoy like he's an older brother, sort of. And you kind of see that relationship develop through like the first half of the movie, and it's actually really well made. And you slowly start to see, as they get closer, the cracks in the facade that James McAvoy's family has, and it kind of tests the parents and their own masculinity and, you know, their relationship dynamics. It was actually a really well-made movie, and some of the horror, the tension was actually super good, especially whenever it was building up. And you can actually see me in this clip right here. I'm kind of like freaking out a little bit because it's that good at times. Other times it can be a little frustrating with what the parents do, but other than that, pretty good. Movie 1 is done. It was good. Movie 2 is next. Movie 2 is Killer's Game. I'm not gonna lie, I went into this movie knowing nothing and expecting nothing. I honestly thought that this was a serious action movie for the longest time. And so whenever I was watching it, I was like, the story is really stupid. But then I realized, it's a comedy. So then I kind of had to change how I was thinking about the movie. The way that the movie starts off and the way that the premise is set up, really dumb, but it's actually a really good, just popcorn flick. This is actually a really well-made action movie, with a lot of good comedy, and Dave Bautista is just amazing. I'm not gonna really say much about the plot because, honestly, it's so stupid. You can just watch the trailer. It shows the entire movie. Except for the ending, which I'm glad that they didn't, because the ending is terrible. It is the worst ending I've ever seen of any movie, because it just ends. They just killed a bad guy, I mean, on screen, or kind of on screen, but with not even the main character, so it just abruptly ends, and it's it's such a whiplash of what the heck is going on. But other than that, pretty fun movie. I would still say that Speak No Evil's better, though. For this third movie, I kind of had to rush into it, so I didn't have time to record myself watching it, but I watched Reagan. And honestly, I have a lot of mixed feelings about it. So let me break it down for you. It basically is Ronald Reagan's life and presidency just kind of speed ran, and it's told from the perspective of a Russian agent after the fall of the USSR, and I'm going to assume a young Vladimir Putin, which is very, very heavily implied, if not outright stated. That's who that's supposed to be. and it kind of goes over his entire life and presidency, mostly the good stuff. Not really, they don't really touch on any of the bad stuff, which is questionable, but I actually found it really funny. It's not as good as Oppenheimer, which was so much more well made and thought out, but it wasn't bad either. It was a little slow in certain points and could have been cut down a little bit more, but whenever you're trying to recreate somebody's life on screen, it's very difficult to do that. They also had Justin Russo, my boy Justin Russo from Wizards of Waverly Place, which was such a huge surprise for me because I've not seen that man in so long. But honestly, it's probably been my least favorite movie out of all the other ones tonight. So, let's hope this next one's pretty good.
I'm on hour number 8, I think. Something. Just finished Reagan, which is I think the third movie. So I have about four or five more hours to go.
And this is where the challenge of all of it starts to kick in. I feel very exhausted at this point in time. I don't think I can really do too many more movies after this. I want to go home and lay down, but I know that I need to stay and kind of see this whole thing through to the end. I just really need, something good, something to just keep me going for the rest of the night. Just one win.
Of a brand that we all grew up with. Now buckle up and get ready for a fun, thrilling ride in Transformers 1. Enjoy!
I won't lie, I really lucked out on this one. I had no idea that there was even a fan screening of this movie, let alone one that was playing the night that I went to go make this video. I got insanely lucky because I'm also a massive Transformers fan. I love the lore, and being able to watch a lot of this stuff on the screen in this movie was insane for me. I was soy jacking the entire way through the movie, just pointing at things that I've seen before in other media and that I really loved. However, there's some things I didn't really care for, and I can't really say it's the best Transformers movie ever. Which everyone else on the internet would disagree. I just don't think it is. There's some issues that really hold it back for me personally, but I've only seen it the one time, so if I rewatch it, maybe my opinion will change. And, who knows? I don't want to get too much into spoilers, and I don't want to kind of do too much for this movie, because I feel like this is something that you really do need to see. I feel like it's good for the whole family, and just a fun time overall. And I think at the end of the day, that's what's important. So I'd give it a thumbs up.
Right now I'm just waiting for the next movie to play. It's not for a while. I got an hour. And this is gonna be my final movie for the night. Just thank God.
And as the shade of night fell, I had absolutely nothing to do for an hour, so I kind of just messed around in the lobby, just goofing off, shadowboxing, and losing, by the way. And then I tried to learn the bye 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 dance with the help of an employee. Thanks for you for not cringing. Grabbed myself some snacks.
You guys probably get asked to put extra butter, hold the popcorn in that, don't you? Probably get, because it's a het. I'm so sorry.
And just like that, it was time. Alright, for my final movie, I watched Am I Racist? And honestly, I don't really care for this sort of politics. I'm just here to see if this was a funny, entertaining movie or not. And honestly, I can say that it was. I enjoyed myself anyways. And that's really all that I cared about. I thought some of the bits were pretty well made, especially whenever they were trolling someone that's supposed to be very esteemed in their field. I thought was super funny. I don't want to spoil anything, but honestly, if you are okay with trying something like this out, then honestly, I feel like you'd have a pretty fun time. And if you're not, that's okay too. You don't have to. That's the fun part about the movies, is that you can just easily go watch Deadpool and Wolverine, like, right next door. But yeah, honestly, was thoroughly surprised. And that's it. And just like that, the credits rolled, and that was the end of my 13-hour journey. And I didn't enjoy every movie that I watched that day, but I did love the experience. I loved being able to go out and to just have the full movie thing that I used to do as a kid. I really felt how I used to whenever I went to the movies. And that love of cinema, that love of just going to a big theater with all these other people, you don't go to that just for the peace and quiet of it, because that's far from what you get.
Yeah, how'd that work out?
My point is that your instincts tell you to break protocol.
You go because the atmosphere. And I feel like regardless of what happens next in the future, the movies are always going to have a place in society. It just will. And as doomy and as like depressing as the news can be about all this stuff shutting down, that's not the reality of things. The reality of things is that, yeah, streaming is growing, but the movies, that experience, it's still there, and it's still growing strong. And I hope that the next generation of kids gets to experience the same love of cinema that I did growing up. All in all, I loved today. I loved this whole experience, and I'm very glad that I did it. I feel like more people should do it. Go and watch a few movies, or every movie in my case. I think it'll be worth it. Maybe don't do 13 hours like I did. I hated myself after it, but it gave me a sense of hope for the future.